My name is Daniel Hart, and for 20 years have lived on the outer edge of what is now the Pinecrest Lakes WA, though when I first bought my 5-acre parcel, there was no WA for miles. Just pine forest, deep sandy soil, and old ranch land dotted with shallow sinkholes. Over the years, developers slowly crept closer. First came the gated neighborhoods, then the amenity villages, then the lifestyle communities. Eventually, the Pinecrest Lakes WA absorbed 3 neighborhoods and grew into a monster with a board that acted more like a private government. But the final straw came last year, when they decided to build 3 12-story, luxury residential towers, right next to my property line, on soil I knew couldn't support them. Not because I was guessing. Because I had proof. 15 years ago, a geological survey company had hired me as the local liaison for a subsurface study. Back when I was young and broke, I did side gigs like that for extra money. Afterward, they gave me a full digital copy of the geological maps, everything from cavity locations to soil depth profiles. The report stated clearly, the Pinecrest Ridge area contains widespread karst formations and underground voids. High-rise construction is not recommended due to collapse risk. I kept that report, and I never forgot what it said. Chapter 1. The day the WA came knocking. It was a Tuesday afternoon when 3 WA board members rolled up my driveway in their branded golf cart. They parked next to my workshop like they owned the place. The president, a stiff-backed man named Gordon Hollis, climbed out first. "Mr. Hart," he said, clasping his hands behind his back like a military commander. "We're here to inform you of the upcoming construction adjacent to your property." I wiped my hands on my work jeans. "I've heard. The towers." "Yes," he said, smiling proudly. "The Pinecrest Vista residences. Future centerpiece of our community." Behind him, board member Linda Weaver, the local Karen-in-chief, gave me a tight smile. "They're going to increase property values significantly." "Not mine," I muttered. Gordon cleared his throat, annoyed but pretending not to be. "We also need your cooperation," he continued. "Your driveway encroaches on the construction access path. We expect you to move it within 14 days. I looked at him like he'd grown 2 heads. "That driveway has been there since 1969, I said. "And it does not cross WA property. It borders it. It interferes with our work," Linda snapped. "So you'll move it." I laughed, actually laughed in their faces. "No," I said, "and before you do any digging next to my land, you need to read something." I walked into my workshop, grabbed the old geological report binder, and handed it to Gordon. "You build high-rises on that soil, you're asking for catastrophe." They didn't take it well. Linda snatched the binder out of Gordon's hands. "What is this? Fearmongering." "It's a geological report," I said. "With test pit data, ground-penetrating radar maps, and cavity diagrams." Gordon flipped a few pages, skimmed one, then snapped it shut. "We have our own engineers, Mr. Hart, certified professionals, and they've approved the site." I raised an eyebrow. Did they actually study subsurface karst formations? Or did they just take soil samples from the top 6 feet like the county minimum requires? His silence told me everything. Linda pushed the binder back into my chest. "This is irrelevant. Construction begins next week." As they turned to leave, I added, "You're building on Swiss cheese. Don't say I didn't warn you." Chapter 2. The WA declares war. Within a week, I started getting fines. Unauthorized vegetation height, driveway encroachment, workshop, siding color inconsistent with neighborhood palette. Every notice was ridiculous. My property was not part of their WA, but that didn't stop them from trying to bully me into submission. I wrote back every time. "Not part of WA, cease harassment." They ignored me. In fact, they escalated. 2 men from the HOA's contracted security company stood outside my gate one morning, arms crossed. "You're interfering with construction," one barked. "Move your vehicles." "My what?" He pointed to my truck, parked fully on my land. "That truck is too close to our fence line. It violates safety perimeter rules." I laughed again. These people were unbelievable. "Tell Gordon," I said, "that if he wants my truck moved, he can hire a crane to lift my entire property 3 feet east." I shut the gate in their faces. Chapter 3. Watching a disaster get built. For 3 months, I watched the towers go up. Poured foundations, support pillars, rebar skeletons, concrete floors. Every day, the ground vibrated from drilling and pile driving. Every vibration made me sick to my stomach, not because I was nervous, but because I knew what was underneath that soil. Large cavities, hidden pockets, sand over limestone riddled with voids. I emailed the county engineering office. I emailed the board. I emailed the construction company. Every time, the answer came back. The site was surveyed and approved. But I noticed something odd. The construction company seemed nervous. They spent a lot of time rechecking equipment. They brought in heavy reinforcement rods halfway through construction, more than typical for a building that height. They pumped extra grout into the ground. They knew something wasn't right. But the HOA kept pushing them to finish fast. Because they had already pre-sold 68 luxury units. Chapter 4. The night everything went wrong. It was early September, during the rainy season. 3 straight days of downpour turned the ground into soup. My yard held up fine. My land sits on a ridge. But the construction zone, massive puddles formed at the base of the towers. I saw workers pumping water non-stop. The grout around the supports started cracking. On the 4th evening, I heard it. A deep thump. Then another. Like the earth itself was shifting. I stepped onto my porch. The towers stood tall, but the ground around them looked wrong. Not flat, not level. Here we go, I whispered. Around midnight, thunder rolled in again. Rain hammered down so hard I could barely see across my yard. Lightning flashed, briefly illuminating the towers. That's when I saw it. The middle tower was no longer straight. It was leaning, not much, but enough. Enough to know the ground beneath it was giving way. I grabbed my phone and hit record. If the HOA ignored science, maybe they'd listen to video evidence. Chapter 5. The collapse begins. At 2:13 a.m., I heard a low rumble. A sound like distant thunder, but deeper. Wrong. More like a huge stone rolling through the earth. The ground vibrated under my feet. Then the middle tower shifted again, further this time. 20 workers were on site that night, pouring concrete and doing interior prep. Their lights flickered across the skeleton floors. Shouts echoed through the rain. The tower gave a slow, groaning creak. Then a horrifying crack. The foundation slab split like a cookie. Half the tower dropped nearly 2 feet in one violent motion. Workers sprinted down the scaffolding stairs, some jumping from platforms. Alarms screamed. Emergency lights flickered red. The rightmost tower started sinking next. The sandy soil liquefied under it, classic subsidence behavior. Lightning flashed again, revealing the towers sinking unevenly into the earth as if the ground were swallowing them whole. I filmed everything, every second. Chapter 6. The HOA board shows up. At 3 a.m., the HOA board arrived in a panic, still in pajamas, carrying umbrellas, shouting at construction workers. I walked over to the fence line. Gordon spotted me through the rain. "This is your fault," he screamed. "My fault," I shouted back. "I told you this land couldn't support this kind of construction. You interfered with our survey approvals." "No, Gordon, you ignored a geological report that literally stated this would happen." He stomped up to the fence, rain drenching his expensive bathrobe. "This is sabotage." "Sabotage," I laughed. "By who?" "Gravity." Behind him, the middle tower groaned again. A horrifying metal scream echoed as rebar tore inside the sinking concrete. The structure listed another few degrees. Construction workers scrambled away, screaming for everyone to clear the area. The tower swayed. Then it happened. The entire central portion collapsed downward into a newly formed sinkhole, floors pancaking one after another in a deafening cascade. The other 2 towers followed, sliding, tilting, and finally crumbling like wet sandcastles. Gordon fell to his knees in the mud, stunned silent. Linda wept hysterically. Their $1 million centerpiece project. Gone in minutes. Chapter 7. The investigation. 2 days later, the county and state geologists showed up. News crews, engineers, reporters. My video footage went viral within hours. The HOA board tried to blame the construction company, the soil testing lab, the architect, me, But investigators found the truth quickly. The soil testing firm had submitted a preliminary report with significant concerns. Their final report was never delivered because the HOA pressured the developer to push forward to avoid delays in sales. County officials discovered the HOA had submitted altered site documents with missing pages in the engineering packet. The HOA was cooked. The developer sued the HOA. The buyers sued the HOA. The county fined the HOA millions. Insurance refused to pay due to negligence. And the best part, the HOA board members were personally liable because they'd taken actions outside their legal authority. Chapter 8. The Aftermath. A month later, Gordon and 2 other board members quietly resigned and vanished from the neighborhood. Linda stayed, mostly because she couldn't afford to move. Her house got slapped with special HOA assessments so large they nearly equaled her mortgage. The HOA, desperate to restore its reputation, built a privacy barrier fence along my entire property line, at their own cost, so new buyers wouldn't associate my land with their disaster. They never tried to find me again. Never tried to harass me. Never knocked on my door. In fact, they avoided me like the plague. Epilogue. The new sign by the road. Last week, the county installed a new sign at the entrance to the failed construction site. Warning. Geological hazard area. No multi-story construction permitted. Underneath, in smaller letters. Report provided by resident consultant, Daniel Hart. I didn't ask for the credit. But I'll take it. Sometimes, revenge doesn't require sabotage. Sometimes, all it takes is the truth. And gravity.